The first one is a resolution on 51 Little West 12th Street, a application to the Board of Standards and Appeals for a zoning variance pursuant to ZR 7221 to permit the construction of a 14-story mixed-use commercial and residential building in an M15 zoning district. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 recommends denial of this application on the basis that the applicant has failed to meet all 5 findings needed for the granting of a variance, according to ZR 7221. It's a long, therefore, be it resolved, but we rejected the arguments on site conditions. I'll abbreviate it. Rate of return, neighborhood character, self-created hardship, and minimum variance. And with this vote was unanimous.
Regarding your resolution, I'm not asking to make any changes, but I do want to talk about what is said in the resolution so that everybody else understands. I think that needs to be clearer. So number 4, you said self-created hardship. Number C, the applicant did not pursue any pre-construction protections from the standard hotel, and after the construction had not pursued legal action against the hotel for the damage to the building. Now, number 1, it is the responsibility of the party that is constructing a building, undermining a building, to protect the adjacent buildings. The fact that the applicant did not do that should not be held against the applicant. There may be many reasons as to why the applicant did not do that, including relying on the fact that his building should have been protected by its neighbor in accordance with DOB requirements. There are steps that should have been taken by the constructing party. These regulations for protecting the integrity of adjoining properties before and during construction are outlined in Chapter 33 of the New York City Building Code, specifically Section BC 3309, Protections of Adjoining Property. The responsibility falls on the person or entity causing the work, in other words, the developer, the contractor of the new building, to provide and maintain protections at their own expense under the supervision of a licensed professional or registered architect. Further, you go on to say pre-construction survey, Section 3309.4. The license to enter adjoining property is Section 3309.2. Design and planning for protective measures is Section 3309.3, 5, and 6. And monitoring plan is Section 3309.8. The measures are not enforced through DOB permit application. The code emphasizes proactive responsibility on the construction party. Further, the resolution states that the applicant did not pursue legal action against the hotel for the damage. It does not state why that is. Legal action should be used as a last resort, in my opinion, and it's expensive, and not everyone is in the position to pursue that option. This should not be held against the applicant either. It is easy to spend somebody else's money. The cost of litigating these types of cases can be quite expensive, can exceed $500,000. 4D, committee finds the hardship of the vacant lot is self-created inasmuch as the applicant did nothing to protect his property from the damage which is led to demolition. This paragraph should be deleted for the reasons I stated above. It is very unfair to have this paragraph in the resolution. I am voting against this resolution. Number 2, if I can continue, or would you like to respond?
I'm sorry, what was your question? I didn't hear it, Rocio.
Say it again?
I didn't understand what your last part of your sentence was.
I'd like to know whether she would like to respond to my comments.
Okay.
Because the resolution is written, it's faulty in the way I read it, and I think it's unfair what the committee is doing to this applicant. I have no interest in the applicant, but I do not like things that are unfair. And those resolutions should be considered, those paragraphs should be considered, and not attack the applicant for failure to do what you think he was supposed to do when somebody else was really in charge of doing that.
Rocio, may I ask, are you proposing an amendment of any sort?
I said
it's not
no. I
clear.
just, when I started my little speech
Okay.
here, I said, I want people to realize what is happening here in this resolution. I'm not asking you to delete anything because I know you're not going to, but it is what it is. I just want everybody else to think about these things before they vote and when they think about what is really happening here. What did the committee really do?
Microphone. So Susan, we'll continue.
I just wanted to simply say on the committee that having met with the applicant at 2 different meetings, it was an unusual project and an unusual application, but mostly our objections were that, as Katie stated, there were very clear acceptable or within the right parameters of, we mentioned the hotel, we mentioned a townhouse or something like that, where we wouldn't have had any objections to their wanting to build it. It was just the applicant didn't want to use any of the things that were really allowed to him, and so his proposal we felt was really very much out of bounds. So I'm not arguing with Rocia's comments, I just wanted to get to the essence of the denial.
And I just want to say, in response to what you said, as a member of my co-op board, which is a very large property, as you know, we've had at least 2 adjacent construction projects in which the construction project, did exactly everything that was mentioned. However, our building felt that we needed our own information, and we always took our own photographs and made our own report. Some of it was maybe more elaborate, hiring an engineer. Some of it was simple, taking photographs to show what the damage might be. But when we asked this applicant, he hadn't done any of even the simple things, and we felt we were pointing it out. So thank you for your comment.
So everyone's going to speak one time and then we'll go back around, but I want to clarify, we haven't called this one out. So would we like to call this resolution out? And so this is resolution number 1. So all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I see Rocio talk about land use resolution number 1. I hope that that's clear. Are there any other... Someone who has not spoken yet before I call on people that have spoken already.
Hi, thank you. On the number 1, I would also, I'm not comfortable voting for it because mirroring what Ryder just said, I understand that there are steps for variances, but the statement on number 3, that, they're very definitive that this is not appropriate for mixed use development. And the meat packing, to me, is quintessentially mixed use. There's plenty of residential. So that jumped out at me as not actually being a fair statement. So I will vote against this.
To be very clear, meat packing is an M15 district, which does not allow residential. We are aware of a small handful of units that may have been used residentially, may be vacant, and may be legal or may be legal under some old iteration. But meatpacking is not a residential area, and the zoning does not allow for it. So there may be changes to that. And with Gansevoort Square, we are aware that there will be some changes, but they're not here yet. And we will be deeply involved in the discussion of any changes in that area, because it will be zoning changes require a ULURP process.
And so, are you clarifying that it's not mixed use? That meatpacking is not mixed use because of the M15?
It's not residential.
Okay,
It's not
perfect.
residential.
The mixed use has the residential, right?
That's
right.
What I'm hearing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
We even had to overturn a restrictive declaration not allowing office space on Gansevoort Street to allow the development. And Carter can remind us of any details that I'm forgetting about Gansevoort Street, but we had to overturn a ban on offices on Gansevoort Street to allow the redevelopment of the south side. And that's what we did in this committee.
Okay, great. And Brian, you had a question?
So an application for a zoning variance, does that have to meet all five of the, all five findings for these criteria that are listed, or just one or two?
I think that one knocks you out. I mean, we're going to be advisory to the Board of Standards and Appeals. It's been a long time since we've done a variance. We can get clarity on that, but Sean seems to.
You have to be.
Whoa, if we could get a microphone, if you could raise your hand, then I will call on you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much.
Yes, for a variance, you have to meet all five findings.
Thank you for that. Are there any other, I understand, I'm asking if there's anyone who has not had a chance to speak yet, then we will go back. So I'm going to go to Carter in the back. Carter, could we get a microphone to Carter? We have not heard speak on this yet. And if there's anyone on Zoom, board member wise, that would like to speak that has not spoken yet, please raise your hand so we can get you lined up. Carter? If you could get a microphone that's turned on.
Yeah, I have to show all five.
Yes, no, maybe? Okay. So I wanted to speak to two things. One, I think Rocio makes excellent points, but in this particular situation, what we were led to believe is that the building was not properly maintained. And so when somebody doing normal construction that's allowed in the city, you can't overprotect the situation. And the Department of Buildings never cited the neighbor for causing these problems. And the statute of limitations has since expired. So I think it's well spoken to, but you have to maintain your property in order to have protection. You can't go do all the protection work for somebody else if you're not maintaining the property. And there were vacates on the upper floors in the building. There wasn't a C of O. There was a number of issues. It's very confusing, but we wanted to point it out because it's not as if there was some perfectly viable occupied building next door. When the construction was done, and that was what caused the problems. There's a number of violations on the buildings, et cetera, but it was never pursued, and therefore DOB never had assigned any fault to the neighboring property owner for the construction they had done. And as far as the second part about the character of this area, it's why they're seeking a variance, because residential is not allowed as of right in the meatpacking district. Period. That's it. And that's why the variance is being sought. And one of the things that we did discuss at the meeting, that any changes in this area, it's not really appropriate to seek these changes through variances. It's if you want to rezone the area, then that should be the discussion that's being had. But having a one-off projects that don't conform to the needs of what we think the future of the city should be in that area, that's the proper way to approach this and have a full dialogue about what housing could be. And what the reso speaks to is that they did not look at some of the other factors and omitted some of the issues. And so it's not a referendum on housing at all in this area. It's simply a point of what was put before us. And also that this isn't really the right way if we want to see housing in this district. But from my own experience, from looking at this area over the many years and getting to know people in the area, there are probably 6 apartments in the meatpacking district, 6 units that, and I know specifically of 3 that are occupied and know the residents. I believe there's 2 or 3 others. So to say that housing is a use in this area is not correct. And I believe that all of those units were created through the loft law. They are not as of right, and there may have been 1 caretaker apartment, which is above another 2-story or 3-story retail store, or what's now a retail store. And just to point out what Katie was speaking to on Gansevoort Street, there are even restrictive declarations that were placed on properties when other properties were built, and those had to be removed, and housing was not one of the, and this was I think it was just before COVID that was done. And housing was not one of the options that was explored on that because there were other viable alternatives. So I think it's important to look at this for what it is and what's before us. And it's not a commentary on, broader changes, but it's on the application that was put before us at the meeting today.
Carter, could you clarify when you said housing in this district, were you talking specifically about housing in community district 2?
No,
or were you talking about in the
this
meatpacking
zoning
district?
in the
Oh, in the
specific
zoning district, okay, thank you.
Which is why they're before us to seek a variance. And what it also speaks to in the resolution is that the other project has not gone through and been approved. None of this has been discussed, etc. So that's speculation on whatever it might be, but as it stands today, housing is not an allowed use, and that's part of the reason that for this project that they are seeking a variance. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to seek a variance.
If there's no one else, no one else has,
Okay, so
I see that,
Okay,
I do
thank you.
see that, thank you. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken yet, otherwise I'm gonna go on Arturo?
Not sure why my previous comments counted. I was just saying that I wasn't responding to Rocio. So I guess first I agree with Janet and Ryder that there are existing residences, and I do believe the Gansevoort Tower will be making this a residential area. Also, at our committee meeting, I communicated to the chair and vice chair that I would have preferred us to lean not so heavily in anti-housing language. If 3A would have been included in our language at the committee, then I would have voted no against this. So I have an amendment. I will move to amend this resolution to strike clause 3A.
So, excuse me, so we have an amendment on the floor, so if you could just slow down and repeat it so that way we can get the secretary and the assistant secretary to understand what part we're talking about, and that way everyone else can see that. So can you repeat that just a little bit slower for me?
Yes, of course. I move to strike clause 3A from the Little West 12th Street resolution.
Now, I see on page 2 of the land use housing, there's a whereas, that's number 3, but I don't see an A.
In the therefore clause.
Okay, so just so we know what is before us, on the floor is a motion. Arturo has made a motion to strike 3A. Is that correct?
Correct.
Under neighborhood 3, neighborhood character, the committee finds that the applicant did not analyze the neighborhood correctly. This area is a commercial area, not a residential area. Introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood. So that is the amendment that is before us that Arturo has proposed to be struck from the resolution as presented. Is there a second for this amendment? So we have a second from Eddie Siegel. Thank you. And so now we can open up the floor. Would anyone like to discuss this amendment?
So,
Okay, or Katie, did you want to say something before, or would you?
I'm trying to understand
Sure.
what the objection to. This is an M zone. Residential is not allowed. We have maybe 3 units. So what's wrong with 3A? This seems like a statement of fact. This is not a residential zone.
And to clarify that you're saying that this area that we're talking about, just so we get clarification, I just want to clarify that the zoning district that this project is located in is M15, and M15 means what? Specifically, so that way people know. Manufacturing district, is that right?
Light manufacturing.
Light manufacturing, okay.
Which has many, we're with different definitions.
Okay, I was just wanting to make sure everyone understood that clarification. So I see Eddie has a question? Or you wanted a comment. I'm so sorry. You want to say something.
That's right.
Is that clear? Okay.
This building. It is very close to a large number. More soon with meat market developments. So
There are no developments in the meat market. What developments in the meat market?
a project. And so I would just say that, when I think of neighborhood character, I think of the people that live in those neighborhoods. And so the arguments around it's an M15 district and thus it breaks the neighborhood character is not compelling to me because I don't think the commercial businesses on that block will be disrupted by their new neighbors. I don't think the manufacturing businesses that may still be there are going to be disrupted by their new neighbors. And I think they would be happy to live in that. So for the purposes of this amendment, I am fully supportive of it.
Katie, could you clarify? He mentioned that there's housing just south of it, you said? Is that in the meatpacking district?
What's the direct lines of the neighborhood, but I believe within like 2 blocks south of this, there's all of the apartments.
Okay, so not
whether
in the
it's West Village or the literal
okay.
lines of the meatpacking.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie.
It's south of Gansevoort Street is the former refrigeration, the former refrigeration building, Gansevoort, Washington, West, and I don't know, Horatio, I guess.
Okay, I think that's helpful to clarify for a lot of people.
There's a large, huge museum, and it's getting bigger. And we have not yet dealt with what's going to happen on that block, the museum block, the former,
It'll go
the
formally
last
through the
vestige of the meat market.
Yeah, it'll go formally through the ULURP process for that, right?
Yep.
The right time. Are there any other anyone would like to speak on this? And
Yes.
speaking specifically to the amendment, right?
Yes. I mean, why couldn't we just say something like, just state again factually, this is an M15 zoning district and thus is currently not a residential area, rather than having sort of a more opinion statement saying that it breaks the character?
So,
Why couldn't
Will,
we
it
just
sounds
have-
like, are you proposing an additional amendment?
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to amend an amendment.
We'll have to vote on, we'll have to vote on this one and then we can definitely entertain that.
Yeah, I'm not proposing anything right now, but it's
Okay.
food for thought.
Could he repeat it just so that I could?
Sure, could you repeat that one more time,
Oh,
Will?
I was just saying, couldn't 3A be changed to just say something factual like, this is located in an M15 district, therefore is currently not a residential area, rather than including the last sentence, which seems a little bit more of an opinion statement that it breaks the character. Yeah, you could just scratch the last sentence.
Okay, so there's some food for thought there that we do have this amendment on the floor, which is to strike the entire 3A under the therefore be it resolved on page 3 of the land use and housing. Are there any additional discussion or points people want to make? Yeah, could we get Sean a microphone? I unfortunately try not to hand mine off.
I'm not mistaken. I think the language of that code uses the word character. Do you know? I think it does.
Oh, the zoning. Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the character of the neighborhood, when I recall, there was meat markets, discos, and sex clubs. And then it became commercial. And I know about all 5 people who live there. One of them is called Michael Bloomberg, not the mayor. So it was notably not a residential district.
Thank you so much, Sean. So I've not heard, so if we could call on Zachary Kazaz, we could get a microphone to Zachary Kazaz.
Thank you. Just to actually build off that last point, I think because we know Gansevoort Square is happening in some form, we're doing a disservice by not recognizing that it is no longer going to be just commercial. and the character is changing, whether we approve, like regardless of what our opinions are of that development. And so I think, in support of kind of what Eddie and Arturo said, it does make sense to probably soften that language a bit, because it is becoming a residential neighborhood and the character is going to change, just like, if someone were proposing to put a sketchy club on West 12th Street, we might say that's not in the right character, but it was a character of a time. So I think it's important to keep that transition in mind.
Well, am I allowed to make a comment?
Of course.
Chair? I think I would say, I know we have something before us, but I would say, I like what Bill said, just take out the last sentence, because we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know what we're going to want. I'm very much a pro-housing advocate, but the development on the meat packing block is nowhere near done. So we don't really know. That's the future. We can only, I think, talk about what we know is true and factual. And if that thing implodes, because God knows what's going to happen in our country, but if that thing implodes, we're going to be left with, what we're deciding tonight on the north side. So we should think about the north side and what we want it to look like for the present. And we are all going to be involved in the south side. Absolutely.
Okay, I see Nina Chen and then Mar, haven't heard from, so Nina and then Mar.
Yeah, I also support taking out last sentence and just, again,
Get
2
Mar
block south.
Sorry, if we could get Mar a microphone while we're waiting. Continue, Nina, thank you.
Hello? Yeah. 2 blocks south of the building. There is a big apartment building, and then 4 blocks south, there's another big one. So I think if you think about neighborhood, I don't think people consider based on the zoning per se, but really how people think about neighborhood.
I know, but there are regulations and we're trying to follow them.
Okay. Mar?
Thanks. So I've heard the residents that live immediately south of this property are, should be considered. I've heard, things are going to change anyway, so why not let it happen? We don't know that. That is not factual, as Katie just pointed out. But if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. And more often than not, character is cited in zoning. And so I say, if it is, when we look it up, character is referenced, we leave it in. I love the resolution as it is, and I commend the committee on doing a great job. Yeah, that's it. I think that I would definitely vote no on this amendment.
Vote. You would vote no? Is that what you said?
On the amendment.
On the amendment, right, on the amendment. Sorry, I was getting confused. So, Ryder?
Thanks. I think the amendment makes sense. I think comporting with neighborhood character as a consideration for a variance can't mean consistent with the existing zoning, or else it would be impossible to qualify for a variance. So neighborhood character has to mean something a little bit more capacious and nuanced. And in this case, I think the points folks are making about like this area, there are plenty of residential buildings, plenty of people live around here. I consider this, in my neighborhood, I live on 11th Street. I'm not in this exact zoning block, but I think the idea that the neighborhood character of this area precludes residential, it doesn't seem right to me. So I think it's a good amendment. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, Carter, can we get a microphone to Carter?
Okay, so I was going to say that just speaking to what Sean was saying, I mean, there's specific findings, and if you go to Zola, I mean, I can tell people would like to see what their feelings are put forward in this, but the city evaluates these in a particular way, and it goes to the zoning code. The zoning, it even takes into account if it's close to something that the zoning code can change. The point is here is that this is not the appropriate way, and nobody's talking about this as a good project, mind you, right? So the argument that we're doing is undermining what the board's position is, which is against this. And what we're trying to do is to say, oh, but housing's so important that this bad project, we want to take out this language. But the point is, this isn't the right way to go about getting more housing. It's a bad project. Nobody's talked about changing the outcome of this resolution. And the fact of the matter is, if you go to Zola or anywhere else, this is a manufacturing district. If housing were allowed, it would be, there wouldn't be a variance. This application wouldn't be here. And neighborhood character does go into account in all of any type of variance. And when you're looking here, if you actually look at the zoning map, this is not on an edge. This is in a whole area. And even with the changes being presented by the city for Gansford Square, they don't even address this area for housing. So if we want to see an appropriate change, we should put that forward and go about it that way. But to undermine this application and weaken it when we're against it anyway doesn't make any sense. And I also think that there are some other nuanced, smaller reasons that came up during the committee discussion about why people were against this specific project. And just to go back to 3A, it's true, the committee found the applicant did not analyze the neighborhood correctly. I mean, that's just fact. And that's, and I think that we're trying to make this into something else that it's not, and fight some other larger battle when everybody's against the project. And the character that's used in the context of this discussion is what's outlined in zoning regulations for variances. And I'm just sort of befuddled why we're getting caught up on this one sentence, because it seems to be a little bit more ideological as opposed to this project. And the right way to approach that is to ask for this area to be properly investigated, to get the outcomes of housing that we would like to see throughout this area so that it could all be developed together for housing. But again, nobody spoke in support of this project that I'm aware of, except for the applicant.
And when you say nobody, you mean nobody on the committee and nobody from the public? Okay. And Katie, could you remind us how many meetings this project was across?
This project took two meetings.
One in August and one in September, correct?
Yes.
They
and
came back?
We indicated some of our concerns and objections in August, and they were really not, they were not addressed to our satisfaction in September.
Okay, so I'm going to call on Susan Gammy, and then I think Sean had his hand up afterwards. So Susan hasn't spoken yet, so then.
Okay, I would just like to read the exact language on the New York City website regarding the findings. Here it is. C, that the variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or district in which the zoning lot is located. I think we can all agree that we're all in favor of as much affordable housing and indeed as much housing as is possible. That does not change the location of where this particular lot is. So while I am totally sympathetic with the issue of housing and affordable housing, I have to return to the point that Carter made, that one individual instance like this is not where the battle is to be fought. It is to be fought in terms of changing the entire zoning here, not just one little issue where, this lot is where it is. It is zoned a certain way with certain rules. So I think that this is a matter of fact, not of interpretation. Having said that, I will also say that the last sentence creates an appearance of insensitivity towards the need for housing in this community. So while I personally am not in favor of Arturo's entire amendment, I would be in favor of, say, what Will and somebody else has suggested, which is just removing that last sentence in order to not inadvertently create a we're not for housing kind of a situation for people who are not familiar with the specificity of this language. I yield.
Thank you. Susan, Sean, we haven't heard from you on the amendment yet. Okay, so you're saying that it says essential neighborhood character in the zoning text regarding M15. Okay, so I see Shirley. We haven't heard from Shirley on the amendment. Could we get a microphone to Shirley? Great.
Yeah, I have a question actually, and you may have answered it maybe. How large a district does the particular current zoning cover, the M zoning? What are the boundaries?
I don't have the zoning map in front of me, but I do believe, and I stand to be corrected, 14th Street over to maybe Hudson Street, down to Gansevoort, and then over to the river. Over to West Street. Is that correct, Carter? Tell me. Yeah, I that was just from memory.
Zola, which is the New York City's zoning and land use map, has the northern boundary, and it's a little zigzag, but the predominant northern boundary is 16th Street, and the predominant eastern boundary is Washington. Oh, no, excuse me, not Washington. It's Hudson, I guess. And it goes along 9th Avenue, but it actually it's not clean, but it's fairly large, and then it goes down to the midpoint of Gansevoort Street, between Gansevoort and Ratio.
Okay, it seems like a fairly sizable area. So my comment would be, I think I heard also that Katie had said that there was some talk of consideration of discussion of changing the zoning.
In a small area on the west side.
Oh, just a small area.
It's really the block on which the museum now stands, and where the remaining piece of the meat market. And that's in some ways our committee would like them to enlarge that a bit so that we could get a little bit more housing than is a different kind of housing than is being suggested on the meat market site. But we're not there yet, and
that's the position of the board.
It's not. Yeah, the committee has just discussed this. It's not a position because we're not there yet. It's still in discussion, and this piece might be included in that or not. But right now, this is a variance from the prevailing zoning. And one of the things about getting the zoning variance is it has to be minimal. And one of the things that we're trying to do in this resolution is show that this is not minimal. This is not a minimal request. And we asked them to come back and try to make it minimal, and we did not get that response from them.
Great, thank you. Thanks. Arturo? We could get Arturo a microphone, then we can continue with the business.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that I think we can still be opposed to this project while also communicating in our resolutions that we support opportunities for housing where possible and relevant. So I think that's what this amendment tries to do.
Okay, so is there any further comments on the amendment which is on the floor? We do have an amendment on the floor for resolution number 1. As a reminder, that is number 3 under the therefore be it resolved neighborhood character, and is to delete 3A, which says that the committee finds that the applicant did not analyze the neighborhood correctly. This area is a commercial area, not a residential area. Introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood. That is what is on the floor to amend, which is to strike that entire paragraph. So is there any unwillingness to vote on the amendment?
Could I make one more comment?
So there is some unwillingness to vote. Yes, you may continue. Sure.
Because I do believe that Will Benesh has given us a way out, or a way to improve 3A, and that's by just taking out the last sentence, because the committee did find that the applicant's analysis was not correct, and in my opinion. That's what the committee found. And the area is a commercial area. That's a fact. It's not a residential area today. So I'm happy with dropping the last sentence, but I think the other two sentences, in my opinion, should stand.
Okay, thank you. So is there any unwillingness to vote on, so to confirm, it sounds like there's some confusion maybe as to what's on the floor. We have an amendment on the floor, 3A, page 3 of the Land Use and Housing Report for September. 3A, the committee finds that the applicant did not analyze the neighborhood correctly. It would be deleting that sentence. It would be deleting this area as a commercial area, not a residential area. It would be deleting that sentence. But also then delete the third sentence, which would introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood. So that is the amendment on the floor, which is to strike those three sentences of 3A, neighborhood character, under the therefore be it resolved on page 3 of the Land Use and Housing. Is there any unwillingness to vote on this amendment? All those in favor? So it sounds like we probably need to take those votes. So if you could please raise your hand if all those in favor of the amendment. So if you're in favor, we are voting on the amendment. So the amendment, as I've repeated a couple of times, is to delete 3A. I won't read it again. Page 3 of the land use report. So if you are in favor of the amendment, it would be deleting that text I've read a couple times. So if you could keep your hand raised, Emma will call out your name once she takes your vote. So a vote in favor is to delete the language.
Thank you so much.
Again, online as well. We do have, I think, two people who, a few people that can vote online. So I see Janet has her hand raised on Zoom, voting in favor of the amendment as presented.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call out names and then folks can put their hands down. Janet, I do have you. Matt, I have you.
Just so it's clear, there's only one amendment on the floor. I'm just now seeing the chat. I can't always check the chat, so if someone could help me out with that would be helpful.
Paul, I've got you as well. Thank you. You can put your hand down. Arturo, I have you. You may put your hand down. Ben, I have you. You may put your hand down. Eddie, you can put your hand down. Rich, you can put your hand down. Rocio, thank you. Shirley. Nina. Oh, thank you, Ryder, for moving over. You can put your hand down too. I got you, Rocio. You can put your hand down. Thank you. Zach, in the corner, I've got you. And I'm also including myself in this vote. Anybody else whose hands are still up that I did not call?
Voting in favor of the amendment, which is to strike 3A from the therefore be it resolved in land use resolution number 1.
And that is 13 votes in support of the amendment.
Okay, so we've not taken the other votes yet. So we haven't done no votes yet. I've only done all in favor.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, so all in favor of taking those. So all those opposed to the amendment as presented, which is to strike 3A.
Cormac, you can put your hand down.
So if you are opposed to the removal of 3A from land use resolution number 1.
Yeah.
That is the amendment.
Okay.
Voting on the amendment.
Cormac, you can put your hand down. You did already. TJ, you may put your hand down. Susan, you can put your hand down. Oh, excuse me. Susan Kent, thank you for clarifying. Actually, all 3 Susans may put their hands down. Susan Gammy, Susan Wittenberg. Yeah. Wittenberg. Okay. Patricia. Dr. Smith. Thank you, Janine. Amy, got you. JJ, you're good to go down. Carter. Lois, thank you for your patience. Sean also. Katie. Valerie. And Brian. Thank you. Yep, I
Chenault
go
on
up on
Zoom.
the screen last.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Just for,
And online?
yep, online I have Frederica and
Okay,
Chenault, I
so
have both of you.
Will, do you have your hand raised or?
Will, I didn't, thank you. You are right in my blind spot. Okay,
And you got people online?
I got everyone online. This does not
Okay.
pass. Yeah,
Okay, could you read out that
I
number?
will. One moment.
Thank you. And then I will ask for abstentions and recusals. I'm sorry, did you have a question? Okay. So we're still in the middle of voting for the amendment.
Okay.
I still have to do abstentions and recusals,
Yep.
but are there any abstentions and recusals, and we'll get the vote for everything? Any abstentions or recusals on the amendment as presented on land use reso number 1, 3A, deleting it? None,
Did you
seeing
get your
none.
vote? Yeah, okay, thank you. That gives us a closer number. There we go. That's 20 against and 13 for.
Okay, and 0 abstentions, 0 recusals.
Abstentions, 0 recusals.
Okay, so the amendment does not pass, so it means it is still in the text. So I see Will Banesh has his hand up. Could we get Will a microphone? Then we can move the business along. So could we get Will a microphone?
Okay, I was going to just propose an amendment. Hopefully, we've already debated everything, that the last sentence of 3A be removed.
So there's an amendment on the floor to delete the last sentence of 3A under the therefore be it resolved land use resolution number 1, page 3. So that sentence, which is the proposed amendment is regarding, is to delete the line introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood. Is that correct, Will?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have that amendment on the floor. Is there a second? So I have a second from Susan Kent. So now, is there any, would anyone like to talk about the amendment that Will has presented? Is there anyone in the room who would like to talk about that or on Zoom? So I'm not seeing any. Is there any unwillingness to vote on the amendment that Will has presented, which is on 3A on the first resolution for land use to delete the line introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood? I'm not seeing any unwillingness to vote, so all those in favor for the amendment to delete the last line. Okay, so we had aye. Are there any, well, let me just see if there's any opposed to the amendment as presented. So we do have some opposed, so let's take the names for the amendment.
If folks oppose.
Yeah, so if you are in favor, let's take the names, so we can just make sure we get that vote. And then we'll
Okay,
call
this
it.
is that's close to a from the
Yeah,
volume.
I guess we could do a roll call
We can
vote
do a
for
roll
this.
call, but
Yeah,
we can
let's,
also count the
yeah, we can count them.
oppositions.
It's, okay,
Is that okay?
sure.
Okay. Folks opposed?
So if
Can you
you're
please keep your
opposed
hands
to
up?
this amendment,
Thank you so much. If you're opposed to the second amendment that Will made, which is to remove the final sentence. Okay, beautiful. Thanks, folks.
so did you get everyone? There's hands that are coming up.
No,
in the
yeah, I'm
back.
gonna call folks to put their hands down when we're good. So
Okay.
hands up until I've called your name.
Oh,
Everyone's doing a good job. All right, JJ, you can put your hand down. Thank you, Carter. You can put your hand down. Mar, I've got you. You can put your hand down. Susan W. Thank you. Valerie, I have you.
thank you.
Katie, I've got you as well. Sean. Rocio. Cormac.
Chenault has.
Hidden. There we go. Anyone hidden in the room? Okay. And Chenault, I've got you. Thank you. That's 10 votes in opposition. Do we
Okay.
want to proceed to abstentions and recusals?
Are there any abstentions or recusals? It's still not clear to me how many people voted in favor of it. So maybe we can get those hands or.
We have,
Okay.
yeah, I'll back
Okay,
into
great.
it. There are, yeah, I will do the math. There are 34 folks present. I think Keen has left, unless I have missed her. And that means that we have 14 in opposition, and the rest 24 would be in approval because there were no abstentions or recusals.
Okay.
I am going to put that in to have the formal
Okay.
tallies for everyone, but
Great.
that's the
So it
preliminary.
sounds like that amendment passes.
Yeah, that's why I have to put them in for the official.
Could we,
That's-
could we just get those
If I-
hands raised
yeah.
if you're voting in favor of the amendment as presented by Will, so we can just get
Valerie,
this,
can we
move
just
this
do a roll
forward.
call? Do you
Yeah, that's
mind?
fine, that's
Thank you so
fine.
much.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Roll call vote on the second amendment, removing the last sentence as proposed by Will. Will,
Yes.
thank you. Keen is no longer here. Carter Booth? No. Okay. Katie Bordenaro? No. Amy Brenna? Yes. Rich Cacapolo? Yes. Nina Chen? Yes. Bella De La Rosa, pardon me?
No.
No. Arturo Fernandez? Yes. Mar Fitzgerald? No. Cormac Flynn? No. Susan Gammy? Yes. JJ Herrera? No. GJ Jane? Yes. Zachary Kazaz? Yes. Susan Kent? Yes. Ryder Kessler? Yes. Janine Kiley? Yes. Patricia Laria? Yes. Janet Liff?
Yes.
Yes. Benjamin Listman? Yes. Paul McDade? Yes. Brian Pape? Yes. Matthew Pereira? Yes. Lois Rakoff? Yes. Lucio Sands? Yes. Shirley Secunda? Yes. Edward Siegel? Yes. Frederica Siegel?
Yes.
Yes. Emma Smith? Yes. Dr. Shirley Smith? Yes. Chenault Spence? Chenault, I had you as a no before, is that right?
No.
Thank you. No, thank you. Susan Wittenberg? Yes. The final votes, that's 26 yes, that's 7 no. That is, our check is 33 because Keen has left.
Okay, so it sounds like that amendment passes as presented, so please, from the record, strike out the last sentence of 3A, introducing housing breaks the character of the existing neighborhood. So now we still have land use resolution number 1 on the table. So is there any other discussion? Would people like to talk about this resolution any more this evening in the room or on Zoom as amended? Is there any unwillingness to vote on land use resolution number 1 as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have 1 opposed. Abstentions, recusals. So I see we have some abstentions in the back, Emma.
Great, I'll call out the names.
Okay.
Eddie, I've got you. Ryder? Anyone else in that quadrant that I can't see? I got you for no. Thanks, Mark.
Emma
And I am
checks
also
after.
abstaining.
And I'm abstaining.
Thank you, Janet. I've got you abstaining.
Great. So land use resolution number 1 passes as amended.